Let's get that out of the way first. Basketball fans, anywhere, everywhere, appreciate you guys for joining me here for another episode number 88 now of Tate's Take, what we like to call the best, the most informational, the most educational, the most entertaining basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast, none other than what you're watching right now, Tate's Take. So be sure to go and subscribe. Anywhere you find your favorite podcast, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, all of the above. Tell your mama, tell your grandmama, tell your baby mama to where to find that at as well. In addition to that, also be sure to follow along on all social media platforms at Tate's Take Hoops, TATESTAKEHOOPS. That is where basketball lives. I teased it just a little bit, told a couple more people kind of chiming in on the live now, seeing that we're doing our thing. And without further ado, I want to bring in not only one of the biggest hoop heads in the business, and I didn't think that he gets any more of a hoop head than me myself, but I guess, I don't know, I've learned at a really early age. Mama says there's always somebody bigger and badder than you are, so I may have met my match, I don't know, but it's certainly really close. My dude Rick Kamla, former colleague and lifetime friend, I think it's okay to call him that, co-host of Give and Go from Sirius XM NBA Radio. Find him on Twitter at Rick Kamla Sports. Rick, it's been a little while. How are you doing, man? I appreciate you for joining me today.
Deshaun, my guy, the answer is always yes. You know, man, you call, you reach out, and I'm happy to come on. And I don't know about all that intro, man, but you got the hoop head part right. I know that. We're a couple of hoop heads, so let's chop it up, man.
One of the best people in the business, man. And we've got a game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, a game 2 coming up on tomorrow of the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know where to start. Let's start with this. I want to save some of the best stuff for last. Let's start in the West. Game 3 on tonight. Phoenix has taken a 2-0 lead from the Clippers. I'm not sure if, let me ask you this first. Do you think that it's a stretch to think that we could potentially see a sweep from the Phoenix Suns? Because I didn't think anybody would say that about their series against Denver. By the way, the Clippers don't have Kawhi Leonard, and the Clippers don't always play the best at home either. Just kind of want to get some of your overall thoughts on the series and maybe if you entertain that idea at all.
Well, tonight is telling. If they win tonight, we may be talking about brooms in game 4. And that thought has crossed my mind. Can this be a sweep? The Suns made very quick work of the defending champs in round 1. Obviously, went in for the kill. Game 3 at Denver, game 4 at Denver, wasted no time, gave themselves about a week off. This is an incredibly talented and motivated and driven team. And the rest of the free world may not be thinking gold ball in Phoenix Suns, but they are in that locker room, and that belief is very, very strong. But I do have pause. Watching what the Clippers did, they've shown more guts, more nads, more backbone than I've ever seen, man. You won game 6 in Dallas and then come back and won game 7. You won game 5 in Utah without Kawhi Leonard. And so they've done a lot of very heroic things on the road, very non-Clipper-like, very non-choky, very clutch things on the road. And so now they're back home, and obviously it's a death game for them. And, the coaches and the players, they don't like, calling, 2 games into the series a death game. It's a death game. The Clippers can't lose tonight. If they lose, they're dead. Nobody's ever come from an 0-3 deficit down in the history of the league, in any series, finals, first round, any series at all. This is a death game for the Clippers tonight. And I kind of sort of think the Clippers are going to win. But then you've got Chris Paul returning. You've got a heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, had it and lost it game 2 loss. So there are reasons to believe that the Suns are going to go in for the kill tonight and get this win. But Deshaun, you know it, I know it. The boomerang of 2 road games, losing, and then coming back for that game 3 home game with your lives on the line, it is very powerful. It is very strong. It has been really a tried and true betting angle on the NBA for centuries. I mean decades, but you know what I'm saying. And And so I at the end of the day, I think the Clippers are going to win tonight, but I don't have a ton of confidence in it.
I understand that, and I think it is clear that it is certainly a must-win game. And I was just even thinking the other day, Rick, of course, listening to you on Sirius XM. I'm like thinking to myself, who would have thought that of all the, let's just say, really good Clippers teams that we have seen in the past, obviously last year being one of them, the teams that Doc Rivers was coaching with Lob City and those guys, even dating back to some of the Lamar Odom and Elton Brand teams were really good. Whoever would have thought that a uh, Paul George led team without Kawhi Leonard and some of these other guys are on teams that I wouldn't call bums, but also just kind of older veteran guys to an extent, if you will, with the exception of Terrence Mann. I don't think they're going to get another performance like they did out of him a couple nights ago, but that this would actually be the team that ended up after 50 odd years or whatever it was to go to the conference finals. I listened to you on yesterday, you and Sam Mitchell. Shout out to you guys, and talking about who has the, I don't think it was more pressure, I can't remember the question, but between them and the Milwaukee Bucks, as far as I can't remember the exact analogy.
It was,
but
yeah, who's going to win it? Who's going to win it all? Basically, we got into that.
Yeah. And I just thought that some of that was definitely very telling. Let me ask you this: not having Kawhi Leonard, not having Chris Paul, when do you kind of somewhat anticipate those guys coming back? One guy is an injury, the other one probably not 100%. None of these guys are, but still out because of the COVID protocol and things like that. How much of a difference has that made between these two teams, and did you expect it to kind of pan out this way, considering that neither one of those guys will be active?
I thought the Clippers were going to get one of the first two games. I really did, and they should have, and they totally blew it. Paul George choked, but he choked within a clutch performance. It was really, really ironic. Hit 2 free throws with just under a minute to go, had a coast-to-coast layup off the Zubac's block, and then made a really clutch jumper with 20-some seconds left after Booker hit a clutch jumper to take the lead. And then, of course, missed the 2 free throws with 8 or 9 seconds left. And we know the 8 and, the Valley-oop and all that kind of stuff. And so a really confounding game for Paul George. But in terms of so I thought the Clippers were going to get one of the first two, and then then I thought Chris Paul might come back, game 3, game 4, something like that. I didn't have intel on that. I just had a feeling, because once Chris Haynes reported that Chris Paul was asymptomatic, I was like, aha, yeah, he's coming back pretty soon here. A lot of guys, Derrick Rose was ripped to shreds by the virus. De'Aaron Fox ripped to shreds by the virus. Jason Tatum ripped to shreds by the virus. A lot of guys really went through it. Chris Paul, luckily for him, and happy to he's a great guy, man. Chris Paul's a great guy. So I'm very happy that he didn't have to get dragged through hell with this damn virus. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, he's coming back here sooner rather than later. But the Clippers had to get one of those first two games without Chris Paul. And the fact that they couldn't means that they're not going to win this series. Like, if it's 1-1 going back to LA, all right, game on, even with Chris Paul coming back, even with Kawhi Leonard being out, but not now. It's 2-0. The Clippers got to win 4 out of the next 5 against the Suns to win this series with Chris Paul coming back. So that math does not compute from the LA side. But the Kawhi Leonard thing, Deshaun, what I know as a journalist covering sports since the mid 1990s, whatever amount of years that is, it's a lot of math. What I know is that when a team conducts an MRI on a player's injury and they do not immediately report what the details are of that injury, every single time it means that the team got bad news on the MRI. And for whatever reason, gamesmanship, mind gaming the opponent, HIPAA laws, protecting the privacy of health situations with their play, whatever it is, we every single time subsequently find out that, oh yeah, he tore his ACL. Oh yeah, he ruptured his quad. Oh yeah, it's some crazy, terrible injury. Victor Oladipo this year with the Miami Heat, right? Goes up for that dunk and comes down and did not land on the bulky leg that he had the quad and knee stuff with Indiana with, and I was like, oh my God, Victor Oladipo just redid the leg. I can't remember if it was the right side or the leg side. I think it was the right side. But that night watching the game, I was like, oh no, Victor Oladipo just did it. And I just knew watching the game. And so, Bam Adebayo was speaking in the locker room after the game. Oh man, he's great. He's in here. He's in a good mood and everything. I'm like, I've heard that before. The Miami Heat waited weeks to announce what actually happened to Victor Oladipo. And then we find out that he has to have surgery and he's right back to square one with the quad and the knee situation. He may not play at all again next year. And that all sucks for Victor Oladipo, who's a really good dude. But that's your example right there. When teams sort of hide and shield the details of these MRIs from the public, it usually does not have a good final chapter. And I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope Kawhi Leonard is fine. I hope he can play, next year. But Deshaun, he ain't playing in these playoffs. I'm pretty sure about that.
I know I'm feeling pretty confident in that myself. And speaking of being in pain, little bit of pun intended. I'm not sure that I saw Cam Payne coming out and doing some of the things that I've seen him doing this postseason. If I'm being honest, kind of reinvigorated his career a little bit and helping himself out a ton. I want to talk real quick, and obviously DeAndre Ayton has been a huge piece of the success that we have seen with Phoenix so far in this postseason. He was a part of the 2018 draft. Obviously, that's where we, also saw Marvin Bagley. Still waiting on that one to pan out. Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Michael Porter Jr. has been big as well, and a few others. Jaren Jackson Jr. and so forth. Trae Young, those guys. Where do you compare that draft class with some of the greater ones? We know about the one with MJ, the 84 draft class, and even the 2003 with LeBron and Wade Bosh and everybody else, Carmelo and so forth. Where do you compare this draft class? Like, where is that one in the mind of Rick Kamla?
I mean, it's probably got to be pretty high at this point. You've got two all-time greats, and I, are they all-time greats like right now? Well, no, but they're tracking to be all-time greats: Luka Doncic and Trae Young. And I know people, Trae Young, all-time great. Watch the games, check the stats. The guy makes unbelievable history with every single playoff game. He did it again last night. Youngest player to do this. I think first player in the conference finals ever to go 45-10. Like, think about that. Nobody's ever done that before. Oscar, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. That's stupid. And so don't sleep on the fact that Trae Young is tracking towards all-time greatness. He was a badass as a rookie, 30-10 in his second year. I think he was 25-9 this year. And finally, with the right crew around him, and the right coach, they're in the playoffs, he's winning, and everybody's throwing him flowers. And you and I, Deshaun, are like, where the hell were you in his, one and done year at Oklahoma? All right, we've been there from the beginning, like the Drake song, right? Started from the bottom, now we're here. All right, and so we were there with Trae Young, and so I love him. Obviously, you know that. And a lot of respect for Luka. But it's funny because, a lot of people, Deshaun, have tried to sound real smart and get real chesty about the Suns. The Suns passed on Luka Doncic. I can't believe they did that, all this kind of stuff. It's funny how it's all crickets on the Ayton versus Doncic front right now. And it's all been BS all the way along because every single person on planet Earth mocked DeAndre Ayton to the Phoenix Suns with the first pick in the 2018 draft. So anybody that wants to tell you now that I had Luka going ahead of Ayton, they're lying to you. It is a lie. It is a Alex Caruso bald-faced lie, okay? So don't believe it. And I'm not saying that I would trade Luka Doncic for DeAndre Ayton. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But I loved Ayton in college. Ayton is an absolute stud. And the Suns were about to win a championship in DeAndre Ayton's third year, okay? So all the Luka, all that, the revisionist history people, they can just sit down somewhere, man.
From Phoenix, play ball at Arizona, and also with the Phoenix Suns. You don't have to travel very far at all. And I just kind of want to report this, maybe where some people have heard it first. Not sure if you got a hold of this quite yet, Rick, but definitely want to let the people know. Rick Carlisle now headed to Indiana 4 years. I feel like I seen 29 mil somewhere right up in that range. Don't get me. I'm terrible at math, so I could be totally wrong about that. Trying to report something. But nonetheless, that is where Rick Carlisle is headed to the Indiana Pacers. Is that back to the Indiana Pacers, Rick?
Yeah, it's his third time. He was an assistant coach with Indiana. I want to say 97 to 2000, and then went to, I believe it was Detroit,
Hmm.
and then went back to Indiana. He was the head coach of the team, when they had Ron Artest and Steven
Yeah,
Jackson and the Malice at the Palace. He was the head coach of that team. And then obviously went from Indiana to Dallas, did great things, won a championship, and now he's going back. So he's very familiar and obviously very friendly with the Simon family, who governs the Indiana Pacers. And I like the move. I like the move a lot. I absolutely love the move because you have completely screwed up the head coaching position. You should never have let go of Nate McMillan. They did. That blew up in their face in a gargantuan way with Nate Bjorkgren. I mean, what? I mean, way in over his head as a head coach, and proved that in an abundancy of ways. And so that's a one and done, and that's a terrible look for an NBA front office. And now they're getting it totally right. And I think Kevin Pritchard is saving his job with this hire because I think Rick Carlisle is going to get Indiana into the 4 or 5 range, up out of the play-in tournament. I mean, I literally think that, you've obviously got the big 3 with Philly, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn, and that's going to remain here for a period of time. And then it's Knicks, Hawks, Heat, and
hmm
Pacers.
hmm
To vie for 4, 5, and 6. And I want to put Indiana firmly in that. I mean, you've got Brogdon, you've got LeVert, you've got T.J. Warren, you've got Domantas Sabonis, and you've got Miles Turner. That's a
Sure,
badass starting 5,
it
man. And so
is.
Rick
It
Carlisle
is.
is going to get the best out of them. I absolutely love that hire.
IU with a new coach, Mike Woodson, formerly of the Atlanta Hawks and New York Knicks in the NBA, and obviously Indiana Pacers now with Rick Carlisle and a new coach as well. Rick Kamla joining us in the locker room right now, episode number 88 of Tate's Tate, co-host of Give and Go on Sirius XM NBA Radio, channel 86, I feel like that is. I listen to it all the time. Got to go and support my dude at Rick Kamla Sports. Go and give him a follow so you can educate yourself a little bit. Now I want to transition a little bit because we only have couple more minutes here. Promise to get you out of here relatively quickly for what we call the Hawk Talk portion of our show. And because that particular portion of the show is sponsored, let me make sure I go ahead and do what I'm supposed to do here. Sponsored and powered by Exotics Products. Exotics by Curtis Smith. Look good, feel good, play great. Exoticsproducts.com. All 110% natural products. No chemicals added. Give your skin what it deserves, but not before you go to the checkout and check out and put in that discount code Tate's Tate. Get your 15% off. Now, we've seen a big time win game 1. The Hawks win game 1 again. They're undefeated in game 1s in the postseason this year. Kind of want to pick your brain a little bit, obviously, on what we've seen. I'm not sure that there's anybody waking up this morning that's not talking about Trae Young's performance. And the Atlanta Hawks probably feel like they're the most disrespected team that's remaining here in the playoffs. Just give me a little bit of your thoughts and if we can really afford to keep on counting out this team because it feels like all they're going to do is go and win more games every time. When are people going to take this team serious?
Yeah, and I mean, look, man, look. I don't fault anybody for picking the Milwaukee Bucks over the Atlanta Hawks. Come on. They
Mm-hmm.
just beat the Nets.
Yep.
Okay? They just beat the Nets. And they were the number 1 team in the entire league the previous 2 years. They were number 3 in the East this year, number 6 overall. This is a
MVP. Yep.
team that's firmly in the championship fast lane. They have more experience than the Atlanta Hawks. They have, the Hawks have a lot of talent. And so I want to be careful about this. Who has more talent, Bucks or Hawks? It's a coin flip. And so, but based on where they've been and where they are now, people that wanted to pick the Bucks over the Hawks, I had no problem with it at all. But we know how ball players are, Deshaun. They will take the external stimulus and they will internalize it and turn it into fuel. Okay. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we're getting disrespected and all this kind of stuff. Whether we media members really agree with that or not, it doesn't matter because it's fuel for a locker room. And the Hawks are certainly using that. Now, I mean, I'm surprised that the Atlanta Hawks are in the East Finals and up 1-0 on Milwaukee in their first playoff run together. Come on. They're shocking the world right now. They're not supposed to be here. And I think it's an unbelievably cool story that they are. And I mean, think about it. John Collins, totally hated on, right? Oh, he's just a stat guy and all this kind of stuff. Well, I saw him make a ballsy three last night from the left corner, down 4, made it a 1-point game. Biggest shot of the game. He's made a ton of those shots for the Hawks. Bogey Bogdanovic playing on a basically injured right knee, like a tough guy. Clint Capella flexing, had a huge putback last night to put the Hawks up. Obviously, Trae Young is a stud. They got a lot of weapons, man. Gallo off the bench is giving them something. Lou Williams has had big games. I mean, my God, Kevin Huerter, the Game 7 performance at Philly. They got answers, Deshaun. They got answers. And look, at this point, I'm done. I'll tell you this: when they won, I didn't think they were going to win Game 7 at Philadelphia, Deshaun. I picked the Hawks to win that series in 6. All right,
sure.
And so I had it pegged, right? You win Game 5 at Philly, you come back, all right, just close them out. Game 6 at home, no problem, right? Well, they screwed it up. The Georgia sports curse reared its ugly head. They made a million mistakes in that game. And I was like, there's no way they're winning Game 7 at Philly, because history tells us that just doesn't happen, especially for a young team like this.
Same here.
They did it. All right. And so I'm done doubting them. I'm done doubting them. I'm done putting a ceiling on them. And you survey the landscape. They're up 1 on the Bucks. The Bucks don't have Dante. The Suns are full. They are healthy. And I believe the Suns are going to win this gold ball. The Clippers aren't going to have Kawhi Leonard. So if you're a Hawks fan, why not? You don't have to slay the dragon that is LeBron James. You don't have to slay the dragon that is Kevin Durant. They're already out. So the door is never going to be more wide open for the Hawks to go win a championship. Again, I think the Suns are going to hug up on this gold ball and have the parades and the cigars and all that kind of stuff. But if the Hawks won, they have taken me from a point where if the Hawks won it all this year, I wouldn't be shocked. I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. Whereas a week ago, I would have been shocked, surprised, dismayed, blown off my chair, all that kind of stuff if the Hawks won. But right now, I'm at a point where I would no longer be shocked, but I would be surprised.
And nobody knows more about, the Hawks and basketball in this market and some of the things that the sports teams have been through better than we have. Rick, Kamla, obviously being here for a while. And Crimson Bagman chiming in with us on Periscope. Appreciate you. I feel like that's Brandon and Lindale, and I could be completely off base with that.
That's exactly who that is. Shout out to Brandon, man.
Shout out to Brandon. Appreciate you for supporting the show, bro. My last question here with you, Cam. On this quick release Hawk Talk portion of the show, and to conclude it, is are we as a people, whether it be media or analysts or just fans of basketball, are like, I feel like there are some what's the word I'm looking for, some loopholes, if you will, with this Milwaukee, like how we felt about Milwaukee, about, maybe they're not really tough. And I know, different players coming in, being a part of that is making them a little bit tougher and whatever else. But that they are somewhat still vulnerable, because we saw they beat the Nets, but that was with a 1.5 star led Nets team. Are we making a mistake by maybe giving them too much credit now as maybe front runners to win this thing or whatever? Are we completely forgetting about who Milwaukee was not too long ago, I guess is really my question to you. Are we making a mistake by putting too much confidence in them?
I mean, after last night, yeah, Chris Middleton was 6 of 23. Chris Middleton had a beautiful look from the right wing to tie that game. And I promise you that Nate McMillan did not anticipate or draw up a defense that would afford that look to Chris Middleton. Because if you're a Hawks fan, you're, oh my God, he missed it. Like, I thought that shot was going in. Middleton hit the game-winning shot in Game 7 in overtime against the Nets, right? Hit a little step back midi from the left side. And I thought that shot was going to go in, but he had a terrible game. Brook Lopez, he wasn't even in the game. And I understand he didn't play all that well, and it's a tough matchup for him and stuff, but does Clint Capella get that offensive rebound and put back at like 29 seconds with Lopez on the floor? with Connaughton out there for him. And then Connaughton had an epic air ball later on. I was like, why is Connaughton in this game right now? Like, if you need a three, I would put Forbes out there over Connaughton. And so I think Coach Bud really messed up last night. And I know Lopez had one rebound, and I know he's not a great rebounder in general. I know he struggles in high screen and roll with the 1-5 and how the Hawks love to run basically every play that they run. But to me, like, Lopez, he's a huge part of what they do. He is their fourth best player, okay? And so just to say, all right, screw it, in game one, it's not going to work out, and this isn't going to be a Brook Lopez series. I feel like it was way too early to pull the plug on Brook Lopez, and there were situations where it reared its ugly head late in that game, and I think kind of opened the door for the Hawks to get that win.
Cam, last thing I got for you. You got on your NBA Summer League shirt, dude. Are we meeting up in Vegas this year? Because it feels like because of the pandemic, it's been forever since we had a chance to do that. And it was really only about 2 years ago or so, 3 years ago. Are we meeting back up in Vegas or you won't be partaking?
I don't know. I don't know what the bosses have in store at Sirius XM NBA Radio. And so I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I would just welcome you and everybody to stay tuned. Obviously, I would like to go. I love Las Vegas. Even more importantly, I love the Summer League right here. I think I'm screwing it up. The Summer League. Yeah, War, this is a little shout out to you, Deshaun. So I hope it's in the cards. I don't know. But it's a great sign that the Vegas Summer League is back and that the Warren Legary and Albert Hall out there are they're chomping at the bit, man. They missed out on probably a lot of revenue last summer with no Vegas Summer League, and the fans love it. I love it. I think it's a great event, and so if I'm invited, I will certainly go.
Those houses get as packed as regular NBA games. My dude, Rick Kamla, co-host of Give and Go, Sirius XM NBA Radio, Channel 86. Make sure you go and give him a follow on all social media platforms at Rick Kamla Sports. That is at Rick Kamla Sports. I appreciate you, Cam. Thanks for joining the program, man. I said we were going to get you out of here. On your way out, tell me if Trae Young is considered a superstar now, or do we still have to pump the brakes?
Look, Antonio Daniels has me all messed up in the brain on the superstar thing because I'm a guy that throws the word around and he blocks my shot like Dikembe Mutombo back in the day. I mean, Antonio won't even call James Harden a superstar.
Really?
Yeah. And so I'm all in my brain about the word superstar, man. And I blame Antonio Daniels, the great Antonio Daniels, who I love working with every day on Give and Go. But like, to me, I'm a little bit more flippant, a little bit more easy with the word. And he checks most of the superstar boxes for me. But Antonio's got me up in my brain. I'm like, wait, what? James Harden isn't a superstar? Okay, now I'm really confused. So that superstar word is befuddling, I think, to a lot of us. I think it is overused in some situations, Deshaun. But Trae Young is checking a lot of those superstar boxes for me.
Cam, thanks so much for joining the program, man. I can't wait till we get a chance to connect up again. Congratulations on all of your endeavors and all that good stuff, man. And can't wait to get out there in your neck of the woods down in Florida again so we can, kind of do some hanging out and engaging in some cold beverages. Let's just put it that way.
You got it, Deshaun. God bless you and your fam, man, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's my dude, Rick Kamla, man, coming through, showing us some love here on episode number 88. Always grateful and thankful for him to be able to come through, man, and bless us and grace us with his presence and his knowledge of the game. He's just a really, really huge hoop head, and there aren't very many more than they are Deshaun Tate, but nonetheless, I guess that exists. I mean, most people probably didn't even think that exists. That's it for our quick release segment, sponsored and powered by Exotics Products. Exotics by Curtis Smith. Look good, feel good, play great, give your skin what it deserves. All of the good stuff that they certainly have to offer skin restoration, replenishment, for razor bumps, skin rescue, irritation, exfoliation soaps, body soaps, shave therapy, wave activation, shea butter, body glaze, all that good stuff, balms and masks and gels and oils and cleansers and sanitizers and you name it. They've got it all there. Make sure that you go to exoticsproducts.com, but not before in the checkout line, that you go to the discount code, put in Tate's Take. You see it there at the bottom on the ticker, TATESTAKE, for your 15% off. And not only is it going to conclude that this portion of the show, but we'll also be coming back a little bit later on this evening. We got some really awesome stuff and more guests coming on. Please go and subscribe anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Tate's Take, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, the whole nine. Also streaming live on Periscope, on Twitch, as well as on YouTube and on Facebook. Follow on social media, all social media platforms at Tate's Take Hoops, TATESTAKEHOOPS. Hashtag don't forget where basketball lives. I'll see you guys a little bit later on this evening. Bye.